Hey there, Mark.
I'm Evan, and this is Louis.
That's me. I'm me? Yes.
That's Louis with the awkward pregnant pause. On this week's episode, Louis brings a question, and it gets, something I say gets Evan a little bit mad, actually.
Really?
You got pretty fired up. You got pretty animated.
Oh, fired up is not mad. That's the difference. I don't feel mad. I feel love.
I saw mad. Louis, did you see mad or no?
I don't know. I've
Well,
never seen him mad.
Well, then he wasn't mad because we talk about how to read people and help them and all of that stuff.
Welcome to a special edition of the Something to Prove podcast with guest, contributor, host, brother
in arms, Louis Vazenios.
Wow, you just popped the speakers.
Did I hurt your ears?
No, but they was super crackly.
Oh, okay.
Louis, you might recall from the end of season 2, who hosted our episode while we were.
That's right. Did you? I mean, I know he hosted, but did you look that up that it was the end of season 2, or did you remember that?
I did not look that up. Louis hosted. I had to interrupt Mark a whole bunch of times to just let Louis get his point across because Drager was trying to control the situation. And so now we're back here during season 4 for a special bonus episode. And that's my intro. I'll give it to Mark. I'm just showing up.
You're gonna intro me, and I'm gonna intro Louis. Louis is our COO. Anyway, we wanted to have him along because more than anything, I mean, other than the fact that this man brings a level of passion, his vocabulary is next level. More than any of that, Evan, we can't record at our normal time because Evan is going to date with Destiny, and we'll fill you in all about that next week. But here we are in Louis' time. So, Louis, you brought us a topic.
I did.
Not too much pressure or anything, but what do you? First of all, dude, you look like you're been kidnapped and you're being held hostage in a Cuban prison. So what is going on?
Really? No, this is if this is a Cuban prison, then sign me up because it's sunshine and a lot of greenery.
Sometimes I feel I've been held hostage with Mark on these podcasts inside a Cuban prison.
Perfect. What's the topic, gentlemen?
The topic. The topic today is for kind of a timely one in terms of like things that I've been dealing with recently. So it's how to be assertive without being.
Evan can't teach you that, can he?
Well, if he can't, then we should explore it because it's a very, very valuable skill. Because you don't want to. You obviously don't want to be so diplomatic, so easygoing that people walk all over you. But at the same time, you don't want to be so hard and assertive that people just don't want to do anything for you. So it's really about how do you both cope, deal with, and I guess manage your assertiveness, your directness, your non-hedgeability with different personalities and different types of people. So,
Take it away, Drager. What you got?
Well, first of all, Evan, I thought you were going to say something like, Louis, why did you bring this question up now? You said especially now. So why is this? What are you dealing with? What's important?
So like last week, me and you were on a call and we were talking. We had talked about something prior to the call. That initiated the need for that call. And then even in the call...
Wait, are you having a hard time being assertive with Mark?
No, I used to.
That would have made me
I think I used to, but I think we're past that point now. So basically, you were on that call, you were like, look, man, why are you hedging? Just come out with it. Just tell us what you're saying or tell us what you want to say rather than just dancing around and politicking and trying to be so accommodating all the time. Just kind of, tell it like it is and tell us what it is. So that's kind of the context for why I chose this topic.
As a team member.
Yeah, well, or team members, it's a juggle sometimes.
Yeah.
You can't give everyone what they want, but how do you give them what they need? Because usually what will happen is sometimes you'll get some blowback. Sometimes you'll get an initial kind of sting or reaction, And then later somebody will come to you and you know what? And they'll tell you, you know what? That was leadership. What I didn't notice that leadership was happening there. And I feel like we're in a time right now where nobody wants to pick up the leadership mantle. Nobody really, because when it's at its hardest, especially during COVID, a lot of people are taking a back seat to being the one to look to. So yeah, that's some context there for you.
Well, that's a great question.
Drager.
Well, I mean, for me, Louis, you know me, Evan, you know me, audience, you know me. I put my foot in my mouth all the time. I say insensitive things. I come across as harsh. The other day, my daughter was making dinner on Thursday night for all of us, and she worked really hard for 2 hours. And I sat down, and some of the food was cold, so I didn't say anything. I just went to the microwave and heated it up. But she didn't take that well, right? She just worked super, super hard. I'm like, I'm not going to eat cold food. So, in work and context, it's there. But I guess the only thing I would say is, you mentioned it. You can't always control how people will perceive you or what they're thinking or what they feel about you. So the only thing that I think you really have is an intention of character. And so if you're able to prove to people time after time after time that you do care about them, that you are just trying to help them, that you're not just being a jerk, it's a one-off, it's a mistake, and you're able to build grace, then I think they can forgive you for that. If your character is the type of person, Louis, which you are, where you will tell people, you'll give them feedback and advice, and you won't always tell them the easy thing. If they can't respect you for that, then how can you respect them? And so I don't know if I'm good at this or not, other than the fact that hopefully proving who you are and being who you are and knowing your strengths and giving them to people time after time after time, they will start to see who you really are. Louis, like you and I know, we had to let someone go in April. Mm-hmm. World blows up in March. We had to let someone go in April. Yeah. We had worked with this person for many, many years. And in the summertime, they sent me an email that was like, you screwed me over. I trusted you. How could you have done this to me? I thought I knew you. And I couldn't respond. All I could do is say, hopefully the 7 years before that proves what my character really is. And then we connected a few weeks later when things had cooled down, and we were able to simply work through it. It was a misunderstanding. It was a misunderstanding, because hopefully that time helped.
I think that's a good point, because so showing people consistently who you are, they know what to expect. So if you can develop a rapport by not being full of shit and by not going back on your word. So if you truly live the person that you put out there to the people that are around you, I think that's a huge piece for sure.
I like the 3-camera setup, guys. I'm feeling it.
Are you?
Good. Yeah.
We got to figure out trafficking. Whose turn is it to jump in? What's happening? But yeah.
This is fun. We had the Tony Robbins. We're all huddled into a hotel room, trying to fit in one camera.
I had to hold an audio device just to be.
I remember that.
Everything.
Yeah. That was great. Love. They have to feel the love. If they don't feel the love, they're going to think they do feel the love, then they'll thank you for the hard push. The only difference is how much love do they feel.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So you hit on something there. It's a feeling. So it's not born out of what you say to people. It's born out of what you do for them. Because words are kind of meaningless. Action is the thing that I think really resonates a person's behavior. So
they need to see how it's not. They need to see how it's in their own best interest. Like what you're telling them is in their own best interest, not just yours.
Right. So it has to come from. So it's empathy. It's empathy focused. You got to put yourself in their shoes then.
But it's based off all the love that was built up to lead to the situation.
Right.
If I'm pushing Mark on, I've pushed Mark fairly hard on many things on live on the show. and there's very little hedging because it's all based off of a layer of love. Like the love isn't in question. And some fairly significant things, right? And even just to think about last week, we're talking about Mark's mental health and accepting the right diagnosis and all this kind of stuff is like life, identity, decisions for the rest of your life, right? I don't know if Evan has my best interest at heart. is ever in play, then the whole everything else is out the window, right? It's got to start with, okay, Evan loves me. He's thinking about me, not him. Maybe I agree with him, maybe I don't.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mean he just auto accepts the advice, which is frustrating. Drager, but does Evan, you know, love me is not in play, because if it is, then I have to spend all the work just focusing on that. Then like it doesn't matter what I'm going to say. It's all just focused on building that relationship. You can do that with people around you. You can't. It's harder with like social media. If you're talking about YouTube comments or Instagram comments or something, that's different than somebody who's in front of you.
I wonder how much, Louis, I don't remember. I remember sending this to you in the summertime, I think. And I'm terrible with names. So Evan, you'll know the person's name, but the leadership guru, I want to say it's Maxwell. Does he talk about the power of influence and how
John Maxwell,
who talks about influence is everything. And if you're not in a position to influence, you can't guide people, change people, help people. So you need to get yourself to a position in influence. So I think when I talk about the context of, or like the character showing who you are over time, it's building influence. I think what Evan's talking about like, hey, they got to know that you love them and you have their best interest in mind. That's building the influence that you need. So I don't know, like in the case of this call that we had Friday, where we had to get very, very direct with a client. And I said, Louis, what are you saying? Because, you know, you spent 15 seconds or 20 seconds trying to explain your way to something. I'm like, I got to the end of the question and I didn't even remember what the question was. So It was just like, just say it. You know, in that situation, we've worked with them for 4 years. We're only there to help them out. So you can be super direct and super clear. But I never really know myself when that fine line is. I know when I've crossed it because I can see it on someone's face, and then I apologize very quickly, or I feel terrible and hold on to it forever. But I don't know how to I don't know how to be clear enough with people to get what you want most of the time without sometimes having to apologize for something you said. Isn't that better than hedging all the time?
Oh man, I don't remember the last time I've apologized for something I've said.
Okay, Evan.
No, seriously, like I am very intentional with my words. Even I think things through, or even if it appears like I'm working on the fly, it's because of all the pattern recognition behind it. That if you're coming from now, if you're freaking out or you lost control, sure, you might say something wrong, but yeah, I don't remember the last time I apologized for something that I said to somebody. Because it's by the time you get that direct, it's 85%, right? I mean, plus it's the right thing, you know, like everything we talked about last week on the podcast and your doctor's opinion or whatever. This is the right thing, Mark. This is the right thing. And I'm not apologizing for it. It's true.
So Louis, what's keeping you from having,
Wait, Louis didn't even react to my thing. You just jumped in and gave extra context.
I think you're right. Like there is a point where you have to be, I guess, you have to basically ask for forgiveness and not for permission. So I think there is definitely a case where that happens. I've been thinking about judgment, and I've been thinking about how judgment is tied so much to circumstance, and how real empathy is not deciding that judgment is a right and wrong action. It's something that you if you're gonna make, you have to make with a whole bunch of understanding. And it's usually the understanding that's tied to the circumstance. So, I mean, that knowing that, then it is hard to put it in a right wrong binary kind of experience. So I guess that's what
Mark loves binary. We actually came up with a great solution. Was that last week?
That was Thursday. It's Monday now, so I guess it was last week.
Dude, this is huge. You want to explain it? I think you can do a good job explaining it.
So Evan lives in a land of grays. Everything is a gray. I tend to live, Louis, as you know, in the land of black and whites. Things are right, things are wrong. I know them, I don't know them. I'm good, I'm bad. Evan came to the I was going to say miraculous, but it was inspired.
I'm very happy with this.
He came to the inspired conclusion that all grays are made up of black and white on the micro. So on the macro, the world is gray, but on the micro, it's just made up of tiny little black and white decisions. Now, I told him I'd have to listen back to the podcast because I haven't conceptualized that internally yet, but Evan was very proud of himself.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks gray, but with enough pattern recognition, it becomes black and white. Like, so this is what you need to do. And he's like, how did you figure that out? It doesn't make any sense. It looks so great. Yeah, but I've seen this enough times to say this is what
it's like looking at like the topography of something. And then as you pull out from the map, you see the puzzle, you see the continent or the border or whatever.
I was thinking one of those little mosaics, when we were at Tony Robbins, how they took like 5,000 tiny little photos and put them together, and then it turned into like, you pull back and it turns into an image.
Yeah.
That's the way I visualize it
No, that makes sense too.
But Louis, you and I were on a call at midday today, and literally we hung up the phone, and I thought, Louis was pretty curt. I wonder if he's okay. He seemed very curt. He seemed a little frustrated. I wonder if he's okay. But at no point did I think, gosh, what a jerk. Like, do you know what I mean? I was just like, I know you, so maybe I did something to upset you. Maybe the team has, maybe something's wrong. Like all of that, all of that empathy, right? All of that like situational things you just talked about. Yeah. Now, if later in the week I notice that 4 or 5 calls in a row are the same thing, I'm gonna probably ask you if you're pissed off at me or something. But I don't know if that helps at all, actually, guys. Sorry, I just took us off a trail.
Good job, Mike.
You're welcome.
I mean, I think it brings back to your point, the fact that you have to kind of know somebody. You have to know somebody. Like I don't know if you guys remember like the show All in the Family. Like if you walked into Archie Bunker's house for the first time, I'm sure that you would get a stark realization that this man is like just a horrible human being. But as you kind of, through week after week, as you watch the episodes, you start to develop empathy for even the other or the abject or the outlier. I'm not condoning racism or anything. I'm just saying that there's usually, because he was kind of a racist character, but he was also a product of his time, a product of his generation. So like, yeah, I think it's really about meeting people where they are, and then having that rapport with people. And then even I think another valuable aspect of it is kind of changing your perspective. Taking yourself out of the normal venue of a situation, and then placing it in a different context. Sometimes that can help too.
I had a guy at TDS, Toronto Dance Salsa, who was an instructor, and I was meeting him for the first time on my one-on-one. So I'd meet everybody one-on-one. The first time I was meeting him one-on-one, and he showed up like 15 or 20 minutes late to the first one.
Ooh.
And I waited.
That's a lot.
And I waited, and Alex couldn't believe it. Alex on my team, he's like, dude, if I was like 8 seconds late, you would leave. You've done that to me. It's like, yeah. I
was gonna say you've mentioned that you've done that to him a couple of times. So yeah.
Yeah. But there's more of a relationship there, right? Like ultimately, this is the thing. Ultimately, the guy who is late, he's not happy that he's late. Like he is not in love with the fact that he's late. It is diminishing of his self-worth, self-esteem, all of it. He's not proud of it. But me leaving is too high a lesson. He's not going to get it. He doesn't understand the lesson. I'm teaching algebra to a 4-year-old. Like it just doesn't, he won't catch it. The words won't mean anything, and he'll actually be offended by it. Mm. So the right lesson for Alex, which is to lock the studio and leave. Like when we used to work out of my home, I would lock the door and not let him in. You go home, right? I mean, that's it. Not even answering messages, nothing. Like, don't be late. But this guy was the first time I met him. We haven't had the conversation, so he can't get the lesson. So that's ultimately you want to be hard. You want to give the tough love and help them move forward. But if they won't understand the lesson, then you're not actually doing them a service. You're doing the opposite.
How do you practice this? Sorry, I just like, I'm standing here talking to Evan, who's, God level at this, Louis, who's naturally gifted at this, even though you're the one bringing the question. I can't help but feel that you brought this question to try and teach me a lesson. But how do you?
Was it Louis? Was it? How much of that was there?
I'm not going to answer.
Yeah.
Wow.
We had a conversation this morning at 8:30 talking about vacation pay.
This is not the
where he's like, Mark,
not going to answer, stay quiet podcast. Okay. This is the Something to Poo podcast. What % was for Mark versus for you?
Oh man, why are you putting me on the spot now?
You're fine. Mark's fine too. Come on. What %?
I'm fine.
Look, honestly though, I think you brought up something.
No.
Good.
What %? What %?
I don't know. Like, yeah, it is not for me. I thought it was just a good topic, but now I can definitely see the.
So like 100% Mark. This is 100% just from our question.
Wow, you guys are ganging up on me here.
Wow, no, we're not. Listen, this is some.
And I love it, Team Mark. Let's go.
Okay, good. Okay, keep going, Mark.
I was asking, just how do you practice this? Okay, fine. Not how do you? How does one? How does Mark Drager? How do I practice this? If you guys are all here for me, even though Louis, I think you're just playing along. I think you brought this for you. I made a joke that you brought it for me and you played into it, but
no, I you know what? And no, I kind of did. So I think we've identified that we all, I mean, at least me and you have some baggage when it comes to this stuff, both of us. So
okay, so we're back to what's the percentage then, Louis? We need to know a percentage.
Let's go 50-50, man. Let's go 50-50.
Sure. Wow, 50-50. Yeah. Sure. That's a non-committal answer.
Evan liked it a lot better when you were just bringing it from me.
No, I don't mind. I just want to get.
Well, the thing is, I don't think like it's such a faceted thing, and at the same time, it's something that you're never perfect at. So I think it applies to everybody.
Okay. So how do you practice this then? So how do you get better at it? If it's pattern recognition. Specifically, where are we putting ourselves? What are we doing to get better at this?
It's every interaction with another human being. Like
that sounds like
your kids.
Work.
Well, then don't worry about it. Then just be oblivious, live your life, don't interact with people, and you're good to go.
Be mediocre, basically.
Well, you're doing it automatically. Just now, do you want to be in conscious control of it? How you show up to the podcast, when you showed up with a bunch of fake questions that I didn't care about, and we kind of just got rid of that whole topic and had nothing to talk about at an episode of TDS. That was you adjusting and learning. Oh, okay. I guess I better come up with a real question and not some fake one, or everyone's going to chew me out and not want to answer this, right? And ever since you brought a question, haven't brought those back, right? You're already doing the adjustments.
You just made me think of something. I was thinking that ground zero was that I'm not good at this. But ground zero is actually I'm acting so unintentionally that I'm hurting my credibility. I'm creating negative grooves in the way people treat me. Like I'm actually training people to treat me worse than neutral because I'm so unaware of it.
Possibly. You have 85 kids. You treat each of them a little bit differently. If somebody is what?
I said sometimes.
No, but what's the age gap between your oldest and youngest?
7 years.
So how you would talk to them is going to be totally different. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing when you're talking to people. How you talk to them is going to be totally different. I think for you, you might have to overstep and then just explain the intent. I'll do this midstream, right? Like when I'm coaching somebody, it'll be in the middle of, okay, I'm pushing them. Oh, I pushed too far. Now I'm loving them, right? Yeah. It's like, what? I'm coming at them hard because I need to change the behavior. And then they're getting defensive. It's like, I love you, right? Like I'll tell them I love you, which then throws them all off because maybe no adult has ever told them they love them in the past 3 years. Like, you're a genius, right? So it's like, but then once we hit that, now they love themselves again. Okay, but now we still got to go do this thing. It's like that. I'm going to do it within the conversation to get them to go where they need to go. But if you want to do it afterwards and take a break and just reset and say, hey, that person might be a little pissed. All they need to do is understand they just need to love again. They need to love to say, hey, I believe that you can go do this thing, like, and that this is in their best interest, not selfish, what Mark Drager wants.
No, we did this, Louis. We did this last week, right? There was a conversation we had to have with a client before this one, same client before this one. Yeah. And on the call, I felt like I was really direct and really harsh. So I sent a quick text afterwards just saying, hey, don't worry. I mean, we're here for you. We're going to help you. We're going to get through this. And then once we do, you know, we'll open up a bottle of gin and we'll all drink and celebrate together, because life will be amazing again. So I guess I did this subconsciously. Yay me.
Yeah. So now faster and find more of the black and whites. You're just playing a giant black and white game instead of a micro black and white game.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to, you want to be persuasive in order to get both you and that other person to a place of truth and understanding. You both need to arrive there. So I think it's a bit of a give and take. And I think there has to be some reinforcement, like you said, Evan, along the way, where you're giving a little bit of tough love, but then you're giving a little more flex to allow for that for there to be an opportunity for them to process what it actually means. Because I think most people are in denial. I think most people know what to do. It's just getting them to a place to admit it and accept that that's how it is and that's how it should be, and you know, put them on the right track.
Can I ask, like, Evan, you know, a lot of this stuff comes naturally to you and to Louis, and then you've developed it a lot, Evan, and Louis is working on it maybe a few steps behind you, but certainly has, just like within him, the ability to understand people. How does
animals.
And animals. He's going to talk to birds. How does
I believe that.
How does Louis get better at this if he's already pretty good at it? And you know, I mean, I can't push him to get better at. I can just say get better at it, but you know, I can show him what not to do. But how does he get better at this?
It's leaning into this belief. Like your reaction, I genuinely 100% believe that Louis can talk to birds. And you shrug it off like, yeah,
it was squirrels. I think it was squirrels.
No, it was birds. It was birds.
Was it birds?
Yeah, it was birds.
I think he could talk to squirrels too, but I think he could talk to, now, like, not talk and have a conversation, but I think he could tap into something that would make a bird come to him and just be in the zone together. I believe that. And I, at the same time, understand how crazy that seems. But in your, like, and your reaction would be the typical one in terms of people like that. That's ridiculous.
No, I think he can do it, because I've heard people talk about, you know, going in, taking hallucinogens and then having a bee land in their hand and spending 10 minutes like being so one with the bee that you can like pet the bee. And audio listeners, I'm doing this thing. So I think you can hit a state where you can have this amazing connection with environment and experience.
It kind of already, it happens to me all the time though. And it's been happening since I was a kid. Like seriously, like I have this weird thing with like kids, like babies. Like when I was at your, when we had done the leadership course last September, we were all at that restaurant. What was it? It was like Jack Astor's or something.
Oh, Thought Leadership Academy.
Yeah. And we were upstairs, and one of the people that was part of the event had their kid there. And the kid was like crying and colicky. The kid turned around, looked at me. I looked at the kid straight in the eye. The kid immediately stopped crying. The mom turned around and was like, "What the f was that? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. Like, I just have this weird like calming effect, or like, I don't even know how to describe it, man. But I know enough now that I know it's real. You know, I don't like, I'm not skeptical about it anymore. I used to be like, whatever, it's probably just some coincidence or whatever.
Can I tell you the weirdest thing?
It's weird. It's super
I literally,
weird.
even before I shaved my head, it was a joke with my friends. All of our kids are older now, but when we had baby kids, I made every baby cry. I had hair. It didn't matter. They didn't have to hand it to me. I'd be like, hey, how's it going? Like, woo, like doing the baby stuff. I got 4 kids. I got friends. I'm comfortable with babies.
Almost made me cry there, Mark.
You're welcome. Literally, as you're talking and telling this story, I'm like, oh my goodness, I am the exact opposite of this.
Yeah.
Like nature is trying to tell babies to stay away from me.
Okay, so Louis got this gift, and barely works on it.
Yes,
and recognizes that he's a little different, but like doesn't do anything with it. Right? This is like before any of the mutants go to see Professor Xavier. Right? They're just kind of at home and maybe embarrassed by their power or hiding their power, or like it's destructive, and that's not.
It's not a superpower yet.
Yeah, but it's like he's not. You could go train that to be something insane, right? Like you could go be the guy, whether it's actually going to training with somebody or just having it, reading the books and watching the videos and having it in your environment and being around like Professor Xavier is the crazy 1% of the 1% of the 1%. The same thing when I was talking to Drager. I'm so pissed that everybody he's talked to says that you're bipolar or whatever isn't a superpower, right? It's like wrong guy. You're whatever you've got has to be a superpower, period. And somebody believes that, and somebody could teach that. And you just got to go find that person and be around them more consistently. Like Louis is great at it's just the surface stuff. If you actually got taught how to lean into it from people who are fantastic at it, you could learn super quick.
Yeah, and I've been developing like it could lead to a whole. We talked. We have weekly talks, and you were like, why don't you look into mentalism and and I did. I started watching a lot of police interrogation, and I started watching and reading books about mentalists, people who have developed this to a point where it actually looks like magic, as opposed to just being very aware of your surroundings. And people and the psychology behind them. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like there's like right now, I can make a judgment call on how you're feeling, Evan, just based on the fact that, you're looking a certain way in a certain direction, you're jumping around, your body language. There's a whole bunch of tells, like a game of poker.
Evan doesn't want to be the kind of guy who can be read though.
What's that?
I don't care. Why not? I don't care.
Well, because I think that Evan will be like, no, I'm not. This is always me. I'm neutral. You can't read me. You can't tell who I am. It bounces off me. When did I ever
say that? I don't know where Mark comes from with these things.
Oh, I pick them up along the way. It's just intuitive to me.
We got to fix this pattern recognition.
It's so bad. You think that I can't even read you.
I didn't say you can't read me. I don't mind. You said that Evan doesn't want to be read or it's always neutral. I'm not always neutral, and I don't care. I love it. Listen, if I'm with somebody, my greatest wish ever is to hop on with somebody and they're going to tell me something new about myself.
Well, that's what I mean. Great. What I'm saying is I think most of these things draw us in through symptoms, right? So like doubt, fear, symptoms. We when we're explaining this, we say, here are all the symptoms, and people identify with the symptom. They look into it, they identify with it and then they internalize it and they make it their own. I've tried to talk to you about all these different things, and what about this, what about that? And the symptoms just bounce off you. You're like, oh yeah, I used to have that, and I don't have that anymore. And I don't really think that. And I catch it in a moment, the red flag. Like, it's super hard to layer things over on you because you're neutral.
No, you just don't know what you're doing. No, but you don't. Not in this. I mean, like. No,
that's fine. I don't have to know what I'm doing in this area.
But there's plenty of things that Evan's going through right now, I'm sure. Like, personally, so I don't know about that. Like, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So Louis, you read these books and you did these things, and what are you doing to practice this and get better at this?
It's really what Evan said. It's putting yourself in like different situations. Each different situation produces insight and a new understanding, a new level of understanding. Putting yourself in the shoes of like a whole bunch of different people, like trying to talk to people who are different than you, is really helpful. Not staying within your bubble, COVID aside, but in terms of like getting like communicating with different people, like having people who having friends who are different culturally from you, from different socioeconomic backgrounds, people who are maybe not the same sex as you, maybe not the same gender as you, maybe not the same orientation as you. It's getting to a point where you're just trying to understand the breadth of the human experience. And if you do that, then it's almost like taking a piece from like what we talk about, the Ray Dalio perspective of it's another one of those. You start developing that archetype for people, and you start not putting them in boxes, but putting them in these realms of understanding, because you can connect with their circumstances. And the only way to really connect with somebody's circumstances is to build rapport with them and understand them, divorced from what they're dealing with. It's more about or how they deal with it, I should say. That's the judgment part. It's what they're dealing with. It's understanding, again, like I said, the circumstance that somebody's in. That's it.
I like Mark's listening face.
Really?
He's got a very like, not intense. He's got a very like focused listening face.
Because what I was trying to do in real time was parse out what Louis was saying, see, what I'm trying to do is get around the fixed mindset of you guys are good at this, I'm not. What's the point in trying? Also, what ran through my head is, wow, that seems like a lot of work, and I just don't know if I care enough about people to put that love and effort and everything into them. And just a swirl of me thinking all these things in real time as Louis is talking.
But I don't think you have to, Mark. Like I don't think you have to be that.
So I can tell you, when I was a really bad manager at a company you worked for, Louis, I was your manager. I was not good at it. We've made changes. You're better at this than I am. But it always felt like people only approached me when they needed something, when they had to ask for something, and it cost me. And I don't like approaching people and asking them for things. I'm getting more comfortable with it, but I don't like it. It feels like I'm burdening people with their problems. And so, when you have 4 or 5 people, cool. But, if you have 12 or 15 or whatever it is, it's just like, oh my goodness, like, it's just like take. And so I don't know if it's the fixed mindset. I don't know if it's, scarcity mindset. I don't know if it's just not being a good people person or whatever, because I do really care about certain people, but it's just like, it just seems like a lot of work, right? Like I've spent the day with you where at the end of the day, I said, man, you are spending too much time on the phone. You are helping people solve their problems far too much. It gave me anxiety listening to you help all of these people all the time.
Yeah.
But you're like, this is at this point in the process is what we need to do. We need to give people time, give them love, give them support.
But you do need to do that too. Yeah, that's part of management. Yeah. I think honestly, if I'm going to be like completely candid,
I think we're having a conversation about brutal honesty here, aren't we?
If I'm going to be honest, I just think that you've been on the other side of the fence a long time. You've been a business owner for a long time, and you haven't worked for somebody for a long time. I think working for somebody gives you that perspective too.
What perspective?
The perspective of being on the other side of the fence, of being an employee rather than an employer. I think that has a part to it. Like, and again, this is not judgment. I'm just saying that's a circumstantial.
If you look at my face, it bounces off me so hard. Like I'm having trouble even resonating with how that has anything to do with it. But I guess so. I guess you're saying that I struggle to be empathetic because I haven't been an employee for a long time.
Yeah, I think you've been the owner of a company, and you just like if you've been a monarch or a patriarch for a long time, you Look, man, I'm not saying that you're some sort of dictator or
you don't have to hedge, dude. I don't take any of this stuff personally.
All I'm saying is that when you're on one side for a really long time, you start to develop or distance yourself from the knowledge of what used to be or the other perspective of things. That's all. Yeah.
What's Evan's energy right now?
Evan seems to be bouncing around. I don't know. He is kind of hard to read.
No, he looks thrilled. He loves this conversation. He looks super, super thrilled right now, and he's enjoying watching it from afar. And now he's going to come in, and he's just going to be like, he's sitting on gold. Give it to us, Evan.
I was actually thinking back to your comment about when people come to you, it's only because they want something and you're going to have to lose something. Part of the job is you touching base with people. Like if you're going to lead people, you have to connect with people, not just when there's an emergency. And same thing, like you need to parent, not just when the kids do something wrong. So this is one of the struggles that I face as my company's grown, right? We're 30 people now. I used to have quarterly meetings with everybody, and now it's less frequent. The key people I'm still meeting on a regular basis, but everybody else, it's less frequent. I've switched it to a Sunday morning coffee because my Mondays were starting to get crushed. And like, okay, 25 minutes. Okay, we got to move on. Done. And like we didn't necessarily always dive into everything. So Sunday mornings is now coffee. I have one person every Sunday and go deeper with them. And a bunch of people, it's like, this is the first time I'm meeting them because we've just been hiring. And they've been working with Nina because she hired them, but this is my first time in actually connecting with them. But it's doing the proactive work to introduce yourself, to say hi, to learn what's on their mind, to right away from the first meeting. Like I told the guy that we just hired, who's doing all of our descriptions for the videos. So we launch, I don't know how many videos a day now, 30 videos a day or something. He's doing all the descriptions and playlists for all the videos.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Right. And I told him like, hey, one of the things I need to do is I need to figure out, this is an entry level position. And this is the job we give whoever basically just joins the company. And then I need to figure out what you're good at, what you like doing, how many hours you want to work, and then put you into a different position to grow this company and also have it be more fun for you. And he's like, okay, nobody's ever asked me that before. I was like, what do you want to do? Like, what are you good at? What do you love? Right? Like the kinds of conversations that bosses don't usually have is like, okay, here's your job, get it done. Why isn't it done? That's what most people are used to. Most bosses are like dictators and just kind of suck at being able to manage and lead a team, where it's actually generally caring about the people on the team. I want this guy to win. Hopefully it's with me. And I want to try to create opportunities for him that maybe I can and maybe I can't. So it turns out he loves math. Like, okay, math. I mean, I don't have a ton of math stuff happening in my business.
Algorithms. He can build algorithms for you.
Well, he's not a programmer. He loves math and he loves, Excel. So there might be something with all the stat significance stuff that we're doing for A/B testing, thumbnails, and all that kind of stuff that maybe we could put him into that role. But that's what I'm constantly thinking of is like, okay, how do we, like, he's still got to do his job. I mean, that job has to get done. And now I'm looking at how do we groom him for something bigger and then hire somebody new to do his job. Like that job's been turned over, I don't know, 6 times in the past 18 months. It's just kind of grunt work job that has to get done by a human. And then you move somebody up, but in that, and then they posted on Facebook today, like, God bless Evan Carmichael or something in our like private group. Yeah. But whatever, it's not about the accolades. It's more just you're building. When I need to go hard on him for something, I know what he wants. So we built yes, the trust and relationship, but we've built the love connection. We've got a love connection going on now. So that when I push him on something, it's not just because I want it done, it's because it's important for him to get his stuff done, for him to feel good about himself and his life and where he's going. And we said we're going to do this. Usually it's me pushing people beyond what they should be doing, what they thought they could do, more than following up on, did you get this thing done? So it's proactively reaching out and spending time with people. I don't spend any time hanging out, right? Like, you know that, and we've talked about that before. I'm not just hanging out, but it's connecting with a purpose to figure out what's their story, what do they want out of life, how many hours do they want to work, what are they happiest doing, and how can we design that for them? And if anything, I'm usually the one asking for feedback, asking for suggestions, where most of the time they're not coming up and giving them themselves, right? So you have to be proactive in this game if you want to manage a team, if you want to be a good husband, a good father. Like, you have to proactively spend time with the people who you want to move and influence and care about.
Yeah, it's a ton of work. It is. It's a lot of work.
But I don't think it was work. I mean, I guess it's the framework. You know, I love it. It's great. I look forward to it. These podcasts have become like work on Mark session. All right. It's never in my calendar like, man, stupid Drager, got to get on that call again with them.
Well,
right?
No, I don't think this is just work on Mark. I think a lot of people have this issue, like myself included, because I brought the topic to the table, and it's something that I'm not always good at. Especially,
it's just a matter of people. Yeah. It's just a matter of not developing the skill. So coming work because it looks too hard, and you don't know how to develop the skill. So it then becomes work.
So coming out of this conversation, then, Louis, you brought the topic. We've talked a little bit about it. What is the difference between tomorrow you show up for work and, say, Friday?
Oh man, I mean, that's I think it's being self-aware of the moment and the opportunity of when I can show somebody that I care and that we have rapport and that there is trust there, because I think trust. The thing about trust is, like, if somebody comes to you and they say, hey, I want this day off, or I want that, or I think what you have to do is you have to hear them out. And then even if the decision is against what they want, it's still, at least they understand that you tried to meet them on it. You took it in, you understood what they were asking for, and you made an effort. Now, the outcome may not be what the person wants, but if you show people that you're making an effort to try and connect with them, to try and give them what they want, then I think you're gonna develop more understanding with them over time, because they'll know that you're not fully, that when they come to you, that you do try to make things happen. It doesn't fall on deaf ears. It is something that you actually care about because you listen to them. And then you try to make it happen. And whether it happened or not, I still think that they will look at the effort and they'll recognize that. And they'll be prone to asking you again next time. And it won't be something where they're like, this is a waste of time. So I think it's just being aware that, and letting people know that, hey, I am working for you. I know that sometimes it seems like I'm not, because I have the better interests of the company in mind, or the better interests of the team in mind, which may conflict with what your wants are right now, personally. But knowing that I did ingest that, I took that in, and then I'm trying to get to a place where maybe that'll happen for you, I think people will understand that.
So is this, hey, Evan turned his lights on. I was wondering, it was getting very dark in his studios.
Right?
From Toronto.
Sunset's early in Toronto.
I like that you decided to backlight those things, I have to say. But And now I just lost my train of thought. I don't remember.
You're asking Louis what was different between now and Friday or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat my question. I guess it's just, if, you know, as I'm listening to you guys talk, it just gives me anxiety to think, wow, like, you don't realize how bad you are at something until you hang out with people who are better. Right. And, you guys are much better at this than I am. So
yeah, but
luckily I have a Louis, so I don't have to get better at this.
That's what I mean. Like, it's not something you may not like what's the main theme that we talk about all the time? It's playing into your strengths, right? Don't waste time with things that you're not good at. Now, I think you need to get to a base level where people don't think you're, but at the same time, you need to surround yourself with people who are good at the things that you're not good at. So, you know, take that to heart, like take that to mind, that you can surround yourself with people that are good at it. And then to Evan's point, you know, Evan is somebody who's good at it, but at this point, he needs to teach other people to be good at it, because he won't be able to scale without creating that culturally now. So he needs to now create a team, a leadership team that cares about the same things that Evan does. In your case, you need to create a leadership team for things that you're not good at. So it's kind of the same thing if you think about it. We're all just trying to get to that point. With Evan, it's a little different because he has those skills. With you had to create an auxiliary in order to make that happen. But the outcome is still the same. So I don't think it really matters. But I think you still need kind of a base level, because it's something that even you, I think, Mark, I think it bothers you that you're not that you're not good at it, but that you could be a little better at it. And I think
it bothers me in terms of what it costs.
Right.
Not in, like, it's one of those, like,
no, it's a dollar and cents thing.
I really want this thing, and I know that this thing is impeding me from getting it, and that bothers me more so than the skill development itself. I think, listen, you've had a few hard weeks. We speak 4 times a week. Mm-hmm. I think there's been a few occasions, man, where I've given you like the greatest feedback, the greatest advice, exactly what you needed to help you. I feel great doing so. So
I think you give me Mark, what you give me sometimes is what I need and not what I want. And I think that's valuable, because those things are not the same. So yeah,
you know what? Here's what it is. We're almost out of time, but here's the question that I actually have, because Evan, you've pointed this out. I do like connecting. I do like helping. I do like being in front of people that I love and respect and all those things. So the real question is, how do you mentor and influence someone that you don't have necessarily that connection with?
You build it.
What if you have to work with the person, but you just, I mean, there's plenty of clients, there's plenty of acquaintances, there's plenty of people where I'm not going out of my way to become their friend because we have a relationship in a different class or whatever. That's not true. You're my friend.
Well,
I will defend that deeply.
You don't have to be their friend. This isn't a friendship thing. But I believe that I could work with anybody. If I really
when
wanted
you
to.
say I love you to someone on IG that you spend 22 minutes talking, I call BS on that, right? I know that's the way
I love them. I don't care if you call. It doesn't matter. Like, you're an external viewer watching. That person in the moment feels loved, and that's all that matters. Like, I don't care what the viewer from outside is looking at my methods and what I'm saying. It's true. It's right. And it moves them to where they need to go. And that's all that matters. It's great that it's a show and other people might be able to watch it, but I'm not deconstructing. I'm taking 8 steps at a time. And it's fine that people in the swimming pool, kiddie lane, like, can't keep up, right? I'm not worried about that, right? But it's genuine. You can call BS on it. Call that person, ask them if they felt it.
No, it's not. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, we're almost out of time.
But that's, like, I think I could work with everybody. I have uber patience. Come. Like when Danny said, my videographer, right? Danny brought his guy who's like he said he was the biggest lost cause. Forget about it. I've been working with this guy for 10 years and can't train him to be better. Hilton, who came, and it's like, what a blast that guy was, right? We nicknamed him the Big Nasty. He was having so much fun. It's like so easy to turn that guy around. I think everybody can. Not everybody is necessarily worth the time investment, because some people will take a lot more time. You know, the guy you had at your team who I had a incident with on the book cover story, right? He's totally savable, totally 100% savable. It's going to be a crap ton more work than other people. You are even a crap ton more work than other people, but at least it's fun. So it's worth it, right? But like, other people could have gone further in less time if we wanted to, right? So everybody can everybody, you can do it for everybody. You can have the patience and work on anybody you wanted to. You could influence them in a positive way and get to the result you want with anybody. It just may not be worth, you have to pick, right? Like, you've got opportunities. You want to bring it back down to dollars and cents. Who do you want to spend that time on that's worth it for you? If you want to see the results of Mark's session with a psychologist and why I am calling BS on it, click the link right there next to us. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe. We'll see you there.